you are ready to assemble your cabinet carcass, you should have a few things. First thing, safety glasses, tape measure is recommended. You'll need all the tools that you'll see up here. Nail gun, glue, straight edge, and pencil. You should also have our cabinet side carcass pieces milled out. Notice that we've got 2 dados and 1 rabbit, and they should mirror each other. Does anybody see the mistake that I made here? I've got pocket holes on each edge of this board. Is that a catastrophic mistake that I need to start over? What if I would have put it on this side? Yes, okay. If this happens, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so these ones look pretty good. And if you miss that, we basically want the pocket holes, as we line up the rabbits and dados, to be pointing at each other. These ones are pointing at gated. No good. We're going to need the top supports. Okay, these are made out of 1/2-inch plywood, right here. And we've got our shelves cut out as well. I also want you guys to have your cabinet back, carcass back, cut out, and your face frame assembled. All those things are necessary before we put them together. So as you can see, there's a lot of work that goes into it before we actually start bringing this thing together. So we're going to honor that work. Before we glue it together, we're going to do something called a dry fit up. Meaning we're going to put this thing together without any glue to start. I recommend you put it together with your pocket holes pointing down. See that? It's going to help us align it when we put on the face frame. So I'm going to take my shelves, get them into the dados. Just like a little puzzle, right? Everything should fit. Everything should be aligned. Now we're going to take our face frame and just laying this out, that's how it's going to look. Mr. Cameraman and editing team, please zoom into this area right here. They're going to try and see quite so that all you guys can see this face frame should hang over both of your sides. So the face frame should be a little bit wider than the entire cabinet. The reason for that is we're actually going to trim that after this thing gets installed onto it. Okay? Mine looks pretty good. You guys agree? If that's not the case, let's say that we've got a gap right here. Or we put it on and we've got a gap right here. How do you guys think we could shrink this carcass so that it is not as wide? Trim the shelves. So I would take the shelves to the miter saw, panel saw, and just trim off a little bit off of each end. It's critical though that the shelves are the same length, so that when we put this together, it's going to be a square. It's not going to be a triangle or any kind of weird roundness shape. If you're confident that your shelves are the same size, and still not going to work for you, we can look at the depth of the rabbits and dados. I love that we made each one of these milling operations on a different machine, but that means that all 3 machines need to have been set the same way. So please, please, please never adjust the table saw blade height, because that's going to affect the depth of our dados. You guys follow so far? It's just making sure everything plays together nicely for Mr. Curtis. Okay? Now I feel pretty confident I'm ready to go on this. Not going to mistakenly have the wrong supports ready to go. We're going to wait on the face frame for now. At no point of the dry fit up or the glue up should we have to use any muscle on it. Okay? These machines have been set up so that we shouldn't be having to pound anything with a hammer to fit these up. They should fit up just like you've seen me fit them on. So, take my bottle of glue. I'm going to start with just the 2 dados. So how much glue I want in the dado. I'm going to do that just on one carcass side to start. Tip up my shell. Fold it in. Pretty simple, right? Next one, but you guys see these lines that I've drawn across the carcass back here? Please don't forget that like I forgot that. So the way I've gotten those lines is that it's the center of the rabbits and dados on the other side. Do y'all see that? I think I'm a pretty good shot with a nail gun, but we'll see. Okay? Get nail gun, we're being safe with this, we're not being cowboys or gangsters with it. When I'm putting this together, I'm trying to shoot towards the center of this shelf right here. Is my hand in a good position right here? No. We apply some force here, but have your hand further back. Now one. I got two. I got three. That is just dumb luck that the nail did not come out of there. All right. The lines on this side you'll see will be way easier. Okay. Let me put the rest of these in here. Just 3 nails. More nails does not mean more strong. Okay, the glue is what is going to help us there. I'm right-handed, so I only like to work off of my right side. Okay? It's just, you can do that too. If you're left-handed, just work off of your left-handed side. Now you can see I'm taking over pretty much the entire table right here. I'd say if you're putting together your carcass, have at least half the table. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing here. Glue up, tip up. But you guys see here that with those lines, it's going to be a lot easier for me to nail, right? The way you get that is with a pencil and a straight edge just drawn across the back. But please do not miss that step. Second side looks exactly like the first. That line makes it pretty nice. Did I miss one? No. That would make a good video, right? Reason for that line is that it makes it easy. Yeah, that's fine. Putting in our top supports now. Alright. I want this to happen the same day, because right now the glue is wet. The nails are helping keep things clamped together so that glue can dry, but it's still really wobbly. At this point, be very careful. Treat this thing like it is grandma's cookies. It's very crumbly. We don't want to, spill them on the floor or drop them. We don't want anybody to step on it. Okay. Additionally, start this with at least half of the hour left. Okay. If you got 30 minutes left to complete this process, that's a good time. I'm going to put on my top supports now. Add some glue. Bring them right to the edge here, okay? They're not as wide as this on your plans. You're going to bring them right to the edge so that my face frame will have something to grab onto, and this is actually going to help hold on our top later on in the project. Yep, nail these two. My hand in a good spot? Oh. Now you might say, Mr. Miller, I really don't like these nail holes in the side of my project. They're ugly and Alright, I want you to know later on in the project, we're actually going to fill these holes with nail pipe. So you will never even notice this, okay? We're going to use a nail gun. We're not going to use a clamp for clamping up our carcass pieces. Okay? Now this thing is starting to feel a little bit more sturdy. This is where our face frame comes in. Our face frame is going to sit over the top of it, like this, as we're nailing it down. But I just want to check that this is flush on the top and the bottom. I don't want this thing at an angle, right? If done right and all your measurements are correct on this project, as you go to flush this up, it'll be the same length. This center rail will cover up that middle shelf. It'll give us some offset here that'll be kind of nice. Same thing with this one right here. And it's specifically, this base frame is going to be up 1/8 of an inch above this bottom shelf. When you guys go home tonight and open up your cabinets and help mom and dad clean up the dishes, take note of what that offset is, that little gap between the face frame and that bottom shelf. I'll bet it's somewhere about 1/8 of an inch. To attach this, it's really pretty simple. We're going to add some glue. Not a crazy amount of glue either, okay? We're also going to have screws on here. We're not wiping it in with our finger like we did when we glued up the legs. Something like that right there. And do I need it across the top? Oh, yeah, that's right, because there's no top rail right there. Okay? This is the important part here where you can really make this project a lot harder than it needs to be. Okay, I'm flush on top, flush on bottom where no one can see. Alright, but if, let's say for some odd reason, you're not able to get flush on top and on bottom, what's more important, flush on top or flush on bottom? Top, because that's where your top is going to sit. Okay? Now I didn't draw any lines on here from where to nail. If you would like to, you certainly can. Okay? I'm just going to look down and see where my carcass side is. And then I'm going to put some nails in. Be checking as you go, okay, boys and girls? I don't want us to go into the rails. I just think it's going to be hard for us to hit those right there. Those of you guys that missed it here. Good spot for my hand. I like the enthusiasm now. I'll show the face frame now. This next part can be done with the glue wet or dry. So at this point, if I'm calling for cleanup time, I want you to listen to me. Okay, at any stage before this stage right here, if I call for cleanup time, ignore me. Alright? Do it with a smile. Don't be cowboy about it. Don't eyeball anybody. You guys see the error I made? Some of you guys thought I didn't even say anything. Well, look at this. I'm pretty darn lucky right here because I made a mistake already on this project. Can you see where my pocket holes are pointing? Now there's still a way to recover from this. Honestly, in my opinion, I think the face frame here with glue and nails behind it is sufficient. Okay, but I know how you guys treat some things. That is why I wanted the face frame to be pocket holed in as well. Okay? I still got a couple pocket holes that I can put in here. Okay, and I'll show you guys how to do that. We also have a specialty little jig that we can bring out and put your pocket holes in. If for whatever reason you've got a gap that you don't like, the screws will help bring that in. Okay? Kind of hard for you guys to see in here. But we we've driven pocket holes at this point. Okay, pocket hole is going to go, screw's going to go in the pocket hole. I've got my drill set up on the slower setting on a lower number. I'm going to go with 10, right between the 9 and the 11 is 10. Got my screw in there. You guys hear that? No. That's the clutch kick in. That's what you want to hear. That's telling you that this has driven the screw as far as it's going to go. That's why I have that number right there set to where it is, and where I'd like you guys to set it as well. If you look at it and you visibly see that screw still sticking out of that pocket hole, but you heard that clutch kick in, I want you to adjust the number on the drill to a higher number. Okay? Go around, do the rest of the screws, your face frame. I've only got one, lucky me. I like it. Last thing is going to be our drawer back. Same kind of thing. We're going to check and see if it is wider than the carcass itself. At this point, we're not going to adjust any of the shelves in here. Okay, the important thing is what you see. All right, and this back material is going to be made out of several different things. Okay, this trimester and trimesters to come. All right, but the important thing is that it's 1/4 of an inch. All right, and it's cut just a little bit wider than your piece. Now I'm kind of curious here. Traditionally, I've always used masonite. This is called particle board, and so it's a little bit lighter of material. We're going to put glue on, just like you saw me do the face frame, and then I'm going to nail into it. We'll see if those nails go all the way through. What's that? I don't think it really matters. I am going to add some glue on the shelves. Not a ton of glue. I don't want it slopping down my shelves. You guys see I got a bite taken out of mine right here? Okay, I'm going to actually orient that so it's below my bottom shelf. No one is ever going to know. A good worker, a good woodworker doesn't make mistakes. A great woodworker knows how to hide mistakes. Through. At this point, I know the policy, but I want you to take a cell phone picture, several of them, of your project, because now all of a sudden, these are going to start to look very similar. Okay? So we need to be able to identify the mistakes you made, the kind of wood grain you have, the orientation of your holes, because after this step is when we're going to start erasing a lot of the names that we have put on our parts. No longer is this just a pile of firewood. This is actually starting to look like something now, right? You put it on the back of it. I've got sandpaper that will take that out. It's happened in here. I hate that people steal, but we're going to take cell phone pictures of them. Sound good? That's how we put our carcass together. Thank you all. Let's grab our safety glasses, roll up our sleeves. Thank you, Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Get to work.